Good morning, Colorado. You are listening to the Daily Sun Up. It's a conversation with the Colorado Sun. I'm team editor David Krause. Before we jump into today's conversation, here is a quick message from our sponsor.
Support comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a seamless mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Credit Union of Colorado. Honestly good. Learn more at honestlygood.org. Got leftover paint taking up space? Recycle it with Paint Care. Paint Care makes it simple and easy for households and businesses to recycle their leftover paint responsibly. Drop it off for free at one of more than 200 sites across Colorado. To learn more, visit paintcare.org. If your air conditioner never seems to stop running, old windows could be the reason. Upgrade now during Window Nation's Buy 4, Get 4 free sale. Replace your windows and get half free. Plus, no money down and no interest for 2 years. Don't wait. Save big today. Visit windownation.com. Proud partner of Wounded Warrior Project.
Now, back to the show. Happy Tuesday, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm here with Sun business and tech reporter Tamara Chuang, and today we're going to talk not turkey, but beef. Hey there, Tamara. How's it going?
Oh, good. How are you, Dave?
Good, Tamara. Hey, let's jump in. We've had a couple of stories in the past few days. You wrote in What's Working about beef prices. Our colleagues, Jana Mullane and Tracy Ross, wrote on Monday about Colorado ranchers and the struggles they're having. So thought we'd just kind of get into that beef conversation today. It's a big part of a lot of people's lives in Colorado, especially. Tamara, this past Father's Day, did you guys get the steaks going? When was the last time you had a little beef on your table?
Yeah, actually, because of Father's Day, it was the first time I bought steaks in a very long time. I actually don't even remember when I last bought steaks. It might have been a couple years ago. But after reporting on this story and just seeing where beef prices were and then checking the grocery store ads, I noticed that King Soopers was having a sale. So I decided, why not? Let's go buy these. I think the steaks were $8.99 a pound. With your loyalty card, of course. So it was, it seemed like, from my memory, maybe $8.99 is a pretty good deal. But beef is getting more expensive. I'm sure everyone's noticed. This showed up in a recent What's Working poll when I asked about costs and inflation. And a lot of people just specifically mention beef, ground beef, steaks, anything to do with cows has gotten a lot more expensive, and they've noticed.
All right, get into the numbers for us, Tamara.
Yeah, so there is a weekly report from the USDA. It is actually scanning a lot of grocery advertisements to see, well, where are prices of beef, at this moment in time. So that helps us get that history of how much prices have changed. And, ground beef was actually, if we go with the 70%, which is 70% lean, 30% fat, I assume, prices were $4.99 a pound for ground beef, which seems like not too bad these days. And, looking back on how that has changed, I mean, I think I took it back 5 years, so to 2021, and that price is actually up. It's double what it was, just a few years ago. So even the cheapest beef has gone up. People also complained about the higher grades of beef and steaks and everything like that. I have links in my report so people can see what the prices, what these reports look like and how they average out nationwide, but also, within our Western region and stuff like that. But I wanted to just also point out, these are advertised prices. So, and they were highlighted specifically in the past week or so because of Father's Day. A lot of grocery stores had beef on sale for hamburgers and steaks to get dads who grill or families who grill, and which is what we did. But the thing is, it's like prices have gone up and, even though this is a weekly idea and snapshot of how much things cost, these are sale prices. So my assumption that beef costs more than $4.99 a pound is probably correct. And I still buy a lot of chicken and pork.
Beef prices have traditionally been low for a long time, Tamara. Talk about the history there and how that's changed, to your point, maybe over the past 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. So there is a lot of things that have been going on in the beef industry to raise prices. So, I don't know how, I think steaks have always been a little more expensive than pork and chicken and stuff like that. But, recently, probably in the past couple of years, we've seen a lot of pressures on the beef industry, which have raised prices for we consumers. I mean, one of the big things is actually drought, right? When you have cows, you need land for them to graze on. And when there's drought, that means either there's a lot of maintenance in trying to keep the grass growing, or there's a lot of feed that you need to feed your cattle to keep them healthy. So, with fewer cows, with drought and inflation, that cost has really impacted local ranchers who have cut back on cows. They've been, they've been selling farms and their ranches and just shrinking their herds. So, the number of cows has shrunk dramatically in the U.S., and that is putting pressure on the price of beef. But there's other things, of course, tariffs. And I've just mentioned how much, farmers who are dealing with having to feed their cows more or just regular meals or whatever, with the grains from a lot of it is imported from overseas. When the tariffs went into place last year, that really hurt the prices. So that was just another pressure for a lot of ranchers. But the other thing that has come up is, the GLP-1s, those weight loss drugs like Ozempic and stuff like that. So those cause, users to have to really shrink their portions down on meals. So there's a theory that, there's more demand because if you aren't allowed to eat as much, you're going to go for the higher quality and protein rich meats. And also like meat snacks. I've seen, I don't know if you've noticed this, but there's been a burst of those meat sticks, at grocery stores and seems like everywhere I go, I see sales on those or, lots of different varieties out there. So there's been a lot more consumer demand for higher quality premium protein, fewer cows. It's just all these things have contributed to push prices up for beef.
Tamara, remind our listeners of the importance of beef to Colorado. It's such a big industry here.
Colorado is one of the top exporters of beef, if you can believe it, because we've got a lot of, even though there's a lot of cows here in the state, and that number's been shrinking, which, I'm hoping to track down in a future story. But, we, according to the U.S. Trade Administrator, the state of Colorado's the top agricultural export for Colorado was beef. And it was around, nearly $500 million in 2024. And that ranked Colorado the fifth nationwide. The state sends a lot of the extra parts that, maybe not the steaks that we're used to in the ground beef, but, the internal organs and stuff like that. That's really popular in some countries. So Colorado is a top export for that. But we've also got, because of all the beef that's here, JBS and Cargill both have very large plants that are in like the Fort Morgan, Greeley area. So thousands of employees there. There's a lot of people in the beef industry, just especially in this area. And part of it is because the Denver, Colorado area is it's sort of the biggest hub of activity for commerce, and it's a big transportation route. So a lot of the industry picks Colorado to locate some of their operations, and that's why we have this huge presence. We do have drought, so there's that concern. But because we're higher than some of the other places, we do have the Colorado River, and we have water. We do have water, even though it's a big issue right now if you've been reading our water coverage. And the other thing, if you can believe this, is, costs actually are cheaper here in Colorado than especially on the coast. And just in the past few months, some of the large beef companies, like the beef processing plants, they've actually been closing some of the plants, some of their factories on either coast. And I know JBS had closed its Southern California plant in Riverside, and Cargill just announced earlier this month that they were closing a plant near Philadelphia. So those two areas are just more expensive to do a lot of this activity. And that's why, Colorado is a standout here in the beef industry, but it's still tough. And, obviously we've been covering some of the labor issues that Cargill and JBS have been having, and they're not quite over yet.
Get into that real quick before we wrap up for this episode, Tamara. Any updates at the Cargill lockout that has been going on for a few weeks now?
So I just checked over the weekend, and over at Cargill, their plant in Fort Morgan, there's about 1,700 workers there. They haven't been working since about April. As of Saturday, it was 2 months where there was no, the plant was idle. This is a meat processing plant, and there's a lot of issues with the contract. The company said, feels like it's offering them a fair wage, but it's 2 months that nothing has been happening. It seems kind of crazy, but Cargill has been rerouting some of the cows that were coming into the Fort Morgan area to other plants elsewhere. So it is a day-to-day type of challenge over there. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. We're probably actually, after we get off the phone, after we get off this call, I'm going to check back in and see if anything happened over the weekend and stuff.
Tamara, always great to catch up with you on these topics and kind of get a lot more perspective on it. If you haven't already, you can read Tamara's weekly What's Working column that came out Saturday, as well as our coverage of Colorado ranchers and their approach to the drought that was published on Monday. You can check that out on our homepage and, as always, on our free Colorado Sun app. Tamara, my friend, make it a great week.
You too, and thanks everyone for listening.
Thanks for listening, and finally, here are a few stories that you should know about today.
The Colorado Ride cycling event in August is gaining momentum as the latest edition of a statewide ride. For decades, Ride the Rockies was an annual tradition for cyclists. When Ride the Rockies was canceled in 2024, former event director Bill Plock was already working on his next event, Colorado's Ride. Fort Carson is on the front line of an effort by the Pentagon to give soldiers healthier food options when they are on the base. Helping the Army with that mission is celebrity chef Robert Irvine, who was in Colorado recently promoting the new program he's been working on. Manny Rutinel says he's the Latino leader the 8th Congressional District needs, but questions have arisen about his intentions and authenticity. As Colorado voters get closer to the June 30th primary, our politics team looks at who he is. Check out all our voter guide information on our homepage.
To read these stories and much more, visit our website, coloradosun.com. As an award-winning nonprofit news outlet, we take our mission of credible, independent journalism seriously, and you can check out our trust indicators at coloradosun.com/ethics. Our music is by the Denver-based Matt Skellinger Group. A link to their music is in our show notes, and a special thanks to Swallow Hill Music. I'm David Krause. See you next time.